architecting digital security through the Human Dignity Standard, Sovereign Partnership, and the FiduNode TM ecosystem author, Neil Chinnock, Chief Business Administrator, iTech Introduction, the Post-Turing Crisis, the Human Dignity Standard, and the Collapse of Digital Trust. Building directly upon the foundational principles established in our prior articles, specifically, the vision for iTech Wales, universal healthcare, dental, mental wellness, social care, and global community initiative alongside empowering expertise through ethical stewardship, sovereign employment, and comprehensive care at iTech Wales. This current document serves as the definitive, expanded exposition of the overarching Human Dignity Standard for iTech Wales. It synthesizes those earlier vital commitments into a deeply holistic, operational reality, demonstrating how comprehensive care and ethical stewardship form the unbreakable bedrock of global cybersecurity. The global digital landscape is currently navigating a period of unprecedented systemic turbulence, marking a definitive rupture from the technological paradigms of the past 2 decades. We have unequivocally crossed into the post-Turing era, a jarring and irreversible transition from the predictable, rules-based mechanics of traditional search engine optimization, SEO, to the highly volatile, probabilistic reality of generative engine optimization, GEO. In this new and untested paradigm, artificial intelligence no longer simply retrieves pre-existing, human-authored information from a static index. It actively synthesizes, interprets, infers, and alarmingly often hallucinates it. This monumental shift has triggered a profound integrity deficit across the global digital commons. Because modern generative artificial intelligence architectures allow for the creation of highly convincing, hyper-personalized, zero-marginal-cost synthetic media and automated spam, the internet is increasingly falling victim to a digital manifestation of Gresham's law. In classical economics, Gresham's law dictates that bad money drives out good. In the contemporary digital information economy, low-quality, unverified, machine-generated noise is rapidly drowning out authenticated, human-verified truth. For sovereign governments, international regulators, and global businesses, the current response to this crisis has proven wholly inadequate. The traditional corporate reliance on a resource-based view, an outdated strategic management theory where competitive advantage was derived from hoarding technical assets, proprietary algorithms, and producing vast quantities of content, is now functionally obsolete. A resource-based advantage evaporates the moment content can be endlessly fabricated for free by open-source generative models. Furthermore, global attempts to regulate this escalating chaos through voluntary soft law, performative corporate social responsibility pledges, and fragmented, slow-moving, monolithic artificial intelligence legislation have resulted in a dangerous, widening governance vacuum. Malicious actors, sophisticated botnets, and unauthenticated operators effortlessly exploit this void. They utilize tactics such as Phoenix Company evasion to dissolve their operations and reincorporate across borders, effectively dodging financial penalties while launching automated industrial-scale reputational sabotage against legitimate enterprises. It is within this volatile crucible of algorithmic unpredictability and structural regulatory failure that iTech Wales emerges. It is deeply embedded within the vision of iTech Wales that the only sustainable way to stabilize the global digital economy is to fundamentally abandon the outdated resource-based view and wholeheartedly adopt a legitimacy-based view. In this impending future, the ultimate unassailable currency of the digital realm is not sheer computational power, massive server capacity, or sheer content volume, but verifiable, legally anchored, and cryptographically proven moral legitimacy. To achieve this ambitious reality, iTech Wales has developed the FiduNode TM framework, a proprietary, highly advanced operating environment designed to comprehensively re-anchor trust across the global internet. However, iTech Wales also recognizes a fundamental, undeniable geopolitical reality. A framework of this magnitude, power, and scope cannot be deployed unilaterally by a private corporation. The challenges of digital identity verification, algorithmic accountability, and hardware-level infrastructure filtering intersect directly with the core tenets of national security, data sovereignty, and universal human rights. Therefore, FiduNode (TM) is explicitly designed not as a standalone, off-the-shelf software product, but as a foundational systemic architecture requiring active, statutory partnership with sovereign governments. This extensive article serves as the declaration of corporate intent representing the vision of iTech Wales. We are explicitly mapping how the ethical stewardship of digital experts and the reclamation of a lost gig economy generation are mathematically engineered into the very fabric of our corporate existence. This is presented as a radically transparent disclosure addressed to future governmental partners, international stakeholders, venture capitalists, and the global digital workforce. We are laying out not just the high-level capabilities of our proprietary technology, but the radical, fiercely protective, and economically disruptive employment model required to staff it. We do this because the core thesis underpinning the human dignity standard of iTech Wales is simple, yet revolutionary. You cannot build a mathematically secure, high-trust digital future on a foundational layer of human exploitation. What follows is a comprehensive detailing of the global fair pay policy, holistic wellness integration, and employment vision of iTech Wales, cementing the human dignity standard into corporate law. It demonstrates exactly what we are proposing, how it functions, and why this enterprise is weaponizing human welfare and comprehensive care as the ultimate cybersecurity strategy. We will explore how incentivizing the global workforce on a similar, highly elevated standing actively uplifts every sovereign country involved in adopting the FiduNode TM framework, ensuring that the rollout of this technology is guarded by the most elite, financially secure, socially protected, and fiercely loyal workforce in global history. Part 1. The FiduNode TM architecture and the blueprint for sovereign partnership. To truly understand the necessity of the iTech Wales employment model and how it embodies the principles outlined in empowering expertise through ethical stewardship, sovereign employment, and comprehensive care at iTech Wales, one must first comprehend the intense operational realities of the environment these future employees will govern. At a high level, the FiduNode TM architecture is a comprehensive, cryptographically secure ecosystem that bridges the widening, dangerous gap between statutory public policy, commercial cloud infrastructure, and strict human accountability. It ensures that generative artificial intelligence is continuously monitored for drift and bias, that unverified bot traffic is aggressively filtered at the infrastructure level, and that every single piece of synthetic content entering the commercial digital supply chain is inextricably linked to a verified, legally accountable human operator. We term this highly specialized operator the digital fiduciary. FiduNode TM essentially transforms the internet from a zero-trust, probabilistic wilderness into a highly authenticated, mathematically verifiable supply chain. In an era characterized by the balkanization of the internet, often referred to as the splinternet, sovereign nations are increasingly erecting digital borders to protect their populations and data. FiduNode TM navigates this complex geopolitical terrain by offering a unified standard of trust that respects local jurisdiction while maintaining global interoperability. By providing the cryptographic infrastructure that enables sovereign governments to enforce their own laws at the network edge, iTech Wales ensures that digital trade can continue securely across fractured borders. This system requires highly skilled operators who understand the nuances of cross-border data flows and the legal implications of algorithmic actions in different sovereign territories. However, as previously noted, this transformative power only functions if a sovereign government actively mandates its use within its geographical borders. For FiduNode TM to operate, host governments must first step forward to set a statutory duty of care. They must enact progressive legislation that classifies cryptographic keys as personal property, thereby empowering their domestic judiciary to enforce compliance and heavily penalize algorithmic harm. The state maintains full sovereignty over its digital borders and its legal definitions of harm, ensuring that democratic oversight is never surrendered to a private corporation. In return for this legislative courage, iTech Wales provides the asset-light fabless technological infrastructure. We supply the cryptographic handshakes, the privacy-preserving zero, knowledge-proof verification application programming interfaces, and the real-time actuarial telemetry that makes the sovereign government's laws mathematically enforceable at the server level, rather than relying on slow, post-facto courtroom litigation. Yet advanced technology is only half the equation. As established in reclaiming a generation and empowering expertise through ethical stewardship, sovereign employment, and comprehensive care at iTech Wales, human expertise cannot be bypassed. The human operators, the digital fiduciaries tasked with auditing artificial intelligence outputs, preventing severe algorithmic drift, authorizing critical data flows, and initiating hardware-level quarantine protocols, act as the ultimate unbreachable firewall in the FiduNode TM ecosystem. This is the very essence of empowering expertise through ethical stewardship. If these human sentinels are exhausted, financially desperate, undervalued, socially neglected, or exploited by the precarious gig economy models so prevalent in today's technology sector, the entire security architecture instantly collapses. A highly sophisticated cryptographic lock is useless if the human holding the digital key is susceptible to bribery or simply too fatigued or mentally strained to recognize a looming threat. Therefore, iTech Wales is stipulating its visionary employment model right now, completely transparently, prior to mass global scaling. Operating strictly under the corporate ethos of iTech Wales, we are proving to our future sovereign government partners that our internal corporate ethics align perfectly and inextricably with our external technological promises. Furthermore, we are demonstrating that integrating the FiduNode TM framework does not just secure a nation's digital borders, it acts as a profound macroeconomic intervention. It actively and aggressively uplifts the nation's socio-economic baseline by introducing a highly compensated, globally respected professional class that contributes robustly to the local economy and significantly relieves the profound burden on state welfare infrastructures, aligning perfectly with our broader vision for a global community initiative. Part 2. The eradication of the salary trap, paid breaks, and the multi-tiered hourly mandate. The traditional corporate world, particularly within the global technology and digital marketing sectors, relies heavily on a structural, normalizing deception, the salaried manager. While a salary implies stability, prestige, and professional standing, in practice, it frequently functions as a legally sanctioned mechanism for extracting unlimited, unpaid labor. Managers, developers, and senior operators in the technology industry are routinely expected to work 50, 60, or even 70 hours a week to meet aggressive performance indicators, manage unexpected algorithmic crises, or satisfy the demands of toxic crunch culture. Consequently, the harder these professionals work, the further their actual effective hourly earning rate plummets. This culture of chronic overwork inevitably leads to severe cognitive fatigue, deep-seated resentment, high staff turnover, and a dangerous degradation of professional vigilance. This toxic environment is precisely what we committed to dismantling in our previous declarations concerning ethical stewardship and sovereign employment. To definitively dismantle this exploitative model and firmly establish sovereign employment, iTech Wales is mandating a structural revolution in technology compensation. No role within the entire iTech Wales ecosystem will ever be salaried. From entry-level administrative support to the highest-tier senior fiduciaries overseeing the global FiduNode TM environment, every single employee will be paid strictly and transparently on an hourly basis. The equation is fair, linear, and mathematically uncompromising. An hour of labor provided is an hour of labor compensated. By valuing every hour of labor, iTech Wales operationalizes ethical stewardship, ensuring that true expertise is met with uncompromising respect rather than corporate exploitation. In addition to this rigorous hourly framework, iTech Wales explicitly guarantees that all staff will always be paid for their designated rest breaks as a standard, non-negotiable policy, regardless of their position within the company hierarchy. In the volatile ecosystem of global digital security, operational flexibility is not a luxury. It is a strict necessity. Algorithmic crises, zero-day vulnerabilities, or sudden botnet incursions do not adhere to scheduled downtimes. By fully compensating employees for their break periods, iTech Wales ethically and financially secures the right to operational flexibility. If an urgent, mission-critical intervention is required within the FiduNode TM network, a digital fiduciary on a paid break can be recalled immediately without encountering the administrative friction or ethical compromise of interrupting unpaid personal time. This ensures uninterrupted readiness while maintaining unimpeachable fairness in compensation. To enforce the hourly mandate internally and completely prevent any creeping management exploitation, iTech Wales is implementing a dual-tiered, highly aggressive system of punitive multipliers for overtime. The standard workweek is strictly capped by a localized base hours threshold that deeply respects sovereign statutory law, reinforcing our commitment to sovereign employment. Any hour worked beyond this sovereign threshold in a single week is automatically, without exception, paid at 1.5 times the total hourly rate, completely inclusive of the employee's base pay and any positional bonuses. For example, in the United Kingdom, where statutory rules cap standard hours under the Working Time Directive, the higher rate kicks in on the 49th hour. In France, the rate activates on the 36th hour, and in the United States, it activates in alignment with federal thresholds over 40 hours. By allowing the sovereign government to stipulate the base statutory hours, iTech Wales ensures instant, frictionless legal compliance globally. Crucially, this multiplier applies to weekends if those days push the employee over their base hourly threshold. However, iTech Wales profoundly recognizes that extreme overwork is not merely a financial issue, it is a critical operational hazard that severely threatens global network security. Therefore, a second universal overtime threshold is introduced. Any hours worked over 72 hours in a single week are automatically paid at double time, acting as a non-negotiable standard in every single participating country. Furthermore, to deeply respect the cultural and societal importance of national rest, any work required on recognized public or bank holidays is also compensated at the double-time rate. The rationale for voluntarily subjecting the company to such heavy financial penalties for overtime, paid breaks, and extreme hours is multifaceted and deeply tied to macroeconomic stability. Firstly, in the context of the FiduNode TM architecture, human fatigue is a critical systemic security vulnerability. The digital fiduciaries employed by iTech Wales are the ultimate auditors of high-velocity artificial intelligence output. Auditing high-volume synthetic data is exceptionally cognitively exhausting. A fatigued fiduciary is highly susceptible to a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as automation bias, closely related to the Peltzman effect. Automation bias occurs when an exhausted human operator blindly trusts the output of an automated system, assuming the machine's safety nets will catch any errors, thereby failing to apply the necessary critical scrutiny. In the realm of digital security, human oversight must function as a fail-safe, not a rubber stamp. Working past 72 hours creates a state of acute cognitive collapse, degrading decision-making capabilities to dangerous levels. By imposing a strict financial penalty for standard overtime and a massive double-time penalty for extreme hours, iTech Wales creates a monumental structural and financial disincentive against overworking its staff. It forces upper management to properly resource teams, plan project timelines effectively, and ensure the human operators guarding the system are always exceptionally alert. Secondly, this transparent, highly lucrative hourly framework is deliberately designed to thoroughly limit friction with trade unions on an ongoing basis. Historically, the technology sector and gig economy platforms have engaged in bitter, protracted, and highly disruptive conflicts with organized labor. The historical record is replete with class action lawsuits regarding worker misclassification and unpaid overtime. iTech Wales completely bypasses this dynamic by proactively establishing employment terms that vastly exceed traditional collective bargaining agreements. By guaranteeing paid breaks, entirely outlawing unpaid salaried overtime, and implementing sovereign-respecting overtime multipliers alongside double-time extremes. iTech Wales transforms trade unions from adversarial combatants into collaborative partners. This successfully limits operational disruptions, effectively prevents strikes that could severely compromise network security, and establishes a seamless, harmonious operational environment. A secure digital infrastructure requires an equally secure industrial relations strategy. Adversarial labor practices introduce unacceptable risk vectors into the corporate ecosystem. Finally, iTech Wales recognizes the immense escalating pressure on sovereign states to provide welfare subsidies for the working poor, those citizens who are employed full-time but still require state assistance to survive due to highly exploitative wages and unpaid labor. By mandating a comprehensive hourly rate with aggressive overtime multipliers, iTech Wales explicitly aims to dramatically ease this pressure on the state. FiduNode (TM) workers will never require state welfare supplements to bridge the gap between their earnings and the cost of living. This guaranteed workforce stability also directly interfaces with the global cyber insurance market. The pricing of cyber risk is heavily dependent on actuarial data concerning human error and insider threat profiles. When iTech Wales can mathematically prove to underwriters that its workforce is rested, financially stable, and cognitively sharp, the systemic risk drops exponentially. This directly translates into massive, continuous savings on corporate cyber insurance premiums via a significantly reduced trust tax, creating a virtuous economic cycle where robust employee welfare directly generates corporate financial efficiency. Part 3. Sovereign baselines, positional bonuses, and the mathematical guarantee of wealth. If the hourly mandate dictates how time is compensated, the pay structure itself dictates exactly how much that time is valued. Multinational technology giants have a long, deeply troubling history of engaging in regulatory arbitrage, entering developing nations and deliberately setting wages marginally above local poverty lines. This provides just enough compensation to look benevolent in corporate press releases, but it remains fundamentally exploitative of the local economy and actively suppresses the growth of a robust, secure middle class. We reject this corporate paternalism in its entirety. iTech Wales asserts that defining the minimum cost of human dignity, the living wage required to maintain a financially healthy, secure life in a specific geography, is the exclusive right and duty of the sovereign government, not a foreign corporation. Therefore, the absolute base rate for any iTech Wales employee anywhere in the world is the statutory living wage strictly set by their respective national or regional government. iTech Wales will never invent its own arbitrary baseline. It relies entirely on the state's statutory truth. However, this statutory baseline is merely the absolute floor of the iTech Wales compensation model. Employees may be confidently allocated an additional positional bonus rate upon the commencement of their employment. This bonus is intrinsically tied to their specific position, technical expertise, and level of ethical stewardship within the company. The truly revolutionary aspect of iTech Wales's financial architecture and the primary engine of its wealth generation for employees occurs annually, every single April. For employees who do not receive a positional bonus, relying solely on the base living wage, Their annual wage increase is automatically and contractually set to 10% above the newly mandated government living wage. For employees who do receive a positional bonus, the mechanism is significantly more powerful and progressive. The 10% annual increase is calculated based entirely on the combined total of the new living wage plus their positional bonus rate. If the new government living wage is £12 per hour and an iTech Wales manager possesses a £5 per hour positional bonus rate, the 10% annual increase is not merely applied to the £12 base. It is applied to the full combined £17, resulting in a significantly elevated new hourly rate. Because this 10% uplift mathematically compounds annually on the total figure, it rapidly triggers a profound mathematical reality known as the Rule of 72. Mathematics strictly dictates that under this specific policy, every single iTech Wales employee's wage will at least double within a decade of employment. This provides an ironclad, undeniable pathway to generational wealth, directly aligned with our mission of reclaiming a workforce from economic stagnation. It robustly ensures that as an employee ages and commits their entire career to securing the FiduNode TM framework, their financial privileges are not just stubbornly maintained, but exponentially recognized and rewarded. It is vital to thoroughly understand that this extraordinary compensation is not corporate charity. It is the necessary price of accepting profound, personal legal accountability and ethical stewardship. A digital fiduciary under the FiduNode TM framework does not just click a screen, they actively sign a cryptographic oath. If they negligently authorize a malicious artificial intelligence model or approve a devastating deepfake that causes catastrophic commercial harm, they bear direct, personal legal liability. The exceptionally high pay serves as the necessary counterbalance to this immense legal and ethical burden, ensuring that the professionals guarding the digital ecosystem are remunerated commensurately with their vast responsibilities. Furthermore, this aggressive, compounding uplift actively engineers a financially healthy workforce specifically designed to neutralize the insider threat. Modern cyber espionage frequently relies on sophisticated social engineering tactics. Hostile state actors and advanced persistent threat groups actively profile employees of critical infrastructure companies, searching for signs of financial distress, mounting debt, or profound dissatisfaction. A worker desperately struggling to pay rent or keep up with rampant inflation is inherently vulnerable to vicious bribery or corporate espionage. The compounding 10% April wage uplift acts as a proactive counterintelligence measure. By guaranteeing that every employee's wages will double within a decade, iTech Wales comprehensively ensures its workforce's earning power aggressively outpaces local inflation. Leaving iTech Wales, or risking summary dismissal and criminal prosecution for accepting a bribe, rapidly becomes an act of profound economic self-destruction. The iTech Wales employment contract itself transforms into a mathematically guaranteed hardware-level firewall against human corruption. From a macroeconomic perspective, iTech Wales has designed this policy with a clear recognition of the mounting pressures on sovereign states. Governments globally are struggling severely to manage inflation and the vicious cost of living crisis. By successfully enforcing a strict policy where wages compound aggressively, iTech Wales assumes the heavy responsibility of ensuring its workforce remains highly solvent, thereby actively alleviating the burden on state resources. Furthermore, the injection of this wealth into local communities fosters robust economic resilience. When digital fiduciaries spend their highly compensated wages locally, they support ancillary businesses, generating a multiplier effect that strengthens the overall economic fabric of the sovereign state hosting the infrastructure. This compensation policy acts as a powerful geopolitical and socio-economic lever when exporting the FiduNode (TM) framework to partner countries, particularly in emerging markets where labor laws may be severely nascent or completely unenforced. What happens if a developing nation wishes to deeply participate in the lucrative, authenticated digital supply chain, but their government has not yet legislated a statutory living wage? The answer is boldly uncompromising. iTech Wales explicitly recommends and actively campaigns for the immediate establishment of such legislation. Because the payment algorithm fundamentally relies on the sovereign state setting the floor, it effortlessly creates immense economic pressure. If a nation wishes to safely attract iTech Wales's digital infrastructure, secure massive international commercial investment, and confidently generate future-proof digital jobs for its citizens, their government must introduce protective labor legislation to establish that minimum living wage. In this way, the global fair pay policy of iTech Wales acts as a tremendous catalyst for global labor reform. It incentivizes the global workforce on a similar elevated standing, which actively uplifts every sovereign country involved. Part 4. The 2P Revolution and the Strategic Weaponization of Rest. The absolute requirement for cognitive vigilance in overseeing generative artificial intelligence demands that operators are deeply and adequately rested. Therefore, the approach to holiday entitlements at iTech Wales is meticulously designed to aggressively prevent burnout while simultaneously serving as a massive, disruptive strategic advantage in corporate acquisitions and actively fostering unparalleled union collaboration. Following the unwavering principle of sovereign respect, the basic holiday entitlement for any iTech Wales employee is strictly set by the host government, relying firmly on their statutory annual leave baselines and public holidays. To this sovereign baseline, iTech Wales adds a highly powerful compounding retention mechanism. Every single April, the employee permanently gains one additional bonus holiday day. The longer an employee stays with the company, the more crucial rest they are legally mandated and actively encouraged to take. As employees confidently age and commit to long service, their privileges explicitly and securely expand, properly granting them vastly more time for recuperation, critical health maintenance, and family life. This is fundamental to our goal of reclaiming a workforce from the precarious, burnout-inducing cycles of the modern gig economy. The truly disruptive application of this specific policy occurs immediately during a transfer of undertakings, commonly known in the United Kingdom and Europe as 2P. When a company acquires a contract or a workforce, statutory regulations require that the employee's existing terms and accumulated length of service are lawfully preserved. However, incoming workers often experience deep anxiety, fearing that their benefits will stagnate or erode over time. Cultural clashes and benefit disputes frequently derail corporate mergers before they can yield operational value. iTech Wales comprehensively shatters this anxiety by actively upgrading the incoming contracts to reflect the premium iTech Wales standard on day one. When employees transfer to iTech Wales via these acquisition rules, they automatically gain the statutory minimum holiday of their country, completely alongside the accumulated sum of the iTech Wales bonus days calculated retroactively for every full year of service they transfer into iTech Wales. If an employee has worked loyally for a competitor for 10 years and iTech Wales successfully takes over that commercial contract, that employee does not merely keep their job. They instantly receive the statutory baseline plus 10 extra days of holiday. Their annual leave jumps significantly overnight, powerfully cementing their new corporate loyalty. By successfully forcing highly experienced staff to take significant amounts of annual leave, iTech Wales structurally prevents devastating burnout. When these senior fiduciaries are actively on the clock, their minds remain exceptionally sharp, completely ensuring the integrity of the digital supply chain remains uncompromised. Furthermore, iTech Wales fully acknowledges that chronic stress and severe burnout within the technology sector place an enormous, completely avoidable pressure on health services. By mandating extended compounding rest periods, iTech Wales is actively working to prevent the physical and mental health crises intrinsically associated with corporate overwork, directly and powerfully easing the intense pressure on health services. When successfully rolled out globally, this remarkable policy fully establishes the London effect, whereby stringent, high-quality regulations from a leading entity completely force global markets to elevate their own standards to remain remotely competitive. Where employment legislation concerning holiday provision does not exist in developing countries, iTech Wales heavily recommends establishing it, bluntly refusing to operate until a protective sovereign baseline is fully legislated. The strategic implementation of compounding holiday days also serves to normalize the concept of taking extended leave without professional stigma. In many high-pressure technology environments, taking allocated annual leave is implicitly discouraged, with employees fearing they will be viewed as uncommitted. iTech Wales fundamentally reverses this paradigm. Because the bonus holiday days are contractually mandated and compounding, the organizational culture is structurally designed to accommodate and anticipate regular, extended employee absences. This requires robust cross-training and redundancy planning within teams, ensuring that operations remain seamless when senior fiduciaries are resting. Consequently, the entire workforce becomes more versatile and adaptable, mitigating the risk of single points of failure within the human oversight architecture of the FiduNode TM ecosystem. Part 5: Generational Security and Relieving the State Pension Burden. The immediate financial health provided by the strictly hourly mandate and the compounding wage uplift, combined with the physical rest guaranteed by the compounding holiday policy, firmly secures the present day. However, a truly resilient workforce requires absolute security for the incredibly uncertain future. The digital sector is absolutely infamous for treating gig workers as disposable assets, discarding them when their specific technical skills age out, relentlessly leaving them with no safety net. As emphatically declared in our earlier publications, the vision of iTech Wales is profoundly committed to providing deep generational security, ethical stewardship, and proactively assisting the sovereign state in averting looming demographic crises. Global demographics are shifting rapidly. Aging populations across the developed and developing world, combined with declining birth rates, are placing sovereign state pension systems under absolutely unbearable, often completely insolvent pressure. Governments are struggling profoundly to fund the retirements of their citizens. iTech Wales fully recognizes that a truly responsible, forward-thinking corporate citizen must actively alleviate this immense macroeconomic burden. Therefore, iTech Wales confidently mandates a 10% standard employer pension contribution for all employees, completely regardless of their position within the company. This is not an employer match requirement. It is a flat, guaranteed 10% contribution paid entirely by the employer directly into the employee's retirement fund. Because this 10% contribution is based on absolute total earnings, its growth trajectory is exceptionally aggressive. It is calculated carefully on the base living wage, the positional bonus, and crucially, any standard time-and-a-half overtime, the double-time extreme overtime for hours worked over 72 hours, and any double-time bank holiday pay the employee successfully earned during that specific month. The harder and more efficiently an employee works, the vastly faster their retirement fund scales securely, converting extra hours directly into lifelong wealth. Within the cryptographically secure environment of the FiduNode TM architecture, employee turnover is a critical, devastating security vulnerability. Every single time a highly trained, biometrically vetted fiduciary leaves, invaluable institutional knowledge is lost completely. A pension policy that successfully contributes a massive 10% standard rate effortlessly acts as the ultimate retention tool, forging the unshakable golden handcuffs of corporate loyalty. As the years pass safely, the employee's retirement pot becomes so incredibly substantial that leaving iTech Wales for a competitor offering only paltry statutory minimums becomes an act of profound economic self-destruction. It powerfully signals to the workforce that long service is recognized, deeply respected, and richly rewarded. Furthermore, an employee who perfectly knows their retirement is mathematically secured is significantly less stressed, feeding directly back into their unyielding performance as a vigilant auditor within the digital ecosystem, promoting the absolute pinnacle of mental wellness. Financial anxiety is a leading cause of workplace distraction. Eradicating this anxiety is a direct investment in operational excellence. Crucially, from a macroeconomic perspective, this generous 10% standard contribution actively and dramatically eases the immense pressure on state pensions. By heavily ensuring that iTech Wales employees are entirely self-sufficient and independently wealthy upon their retirement, iTech Wales deliberately removes its entire workforce from the burden of state reliance, directly assisting sovereign governments in successfully managing their challenging demographic realities. Just as the wage and holiday policies leverage the economic weight of iTech Wales to forcefully enact geopolitical change, the pension policy acts as a powerful catalyst for profound global retirement reform. Where pension provisions simply do not exist in developing countries, iTech Wales vigorously recommends establishing them, cleverly using exclusive access to the FiduNode team network as immense leverage to fiercely encourage governments to legislate retirement security. By injecting a massive 10% contribution directly into the financial markets of developing digital economies, iTech Wales introduces compounding retirement planning to dedicated workforces that have absolutely never previously had access to any financial security. It fundamentally alters the economic trajectory of entire communities, creating deep generational wealth and proving unequivocally that FiduNode TM brings lasting, undeniable societal uplift. The compounding nature of a flat 10% pension contribution, when applied to a rapidly increasing base salary, creates a profound wealth generation engine. This is not merely about providing a basic subsistence income in old age. It is about cultivating significant capital reserves for the employee. This accumulated wealth allows retiring fiduciaries to invest in their local communities, support subsequent generations, and contribute to the broader economic vitality of their sovereign nation long after they have concluded their service with iTech Wales. It demonstrates a commitment to the entire life cycle of the employee, reinforcing the core tenet of the human dignity standard. Part 6. The iTech Wales Family Guarantee and the Democratization of Caregiving. A truly progressive and real-world applicable employment model, embedded within the true human dignity standard, cannot possibly exist without robust, legally compliant, and deeply compassionate family support provisions. In direct alignment with the ethos of securing the future, iTech Wales recognizes that the future of the digital commons depends entirely on the health and stability of the families that support it. In an era where technological innovation constantly moves at breakneck speed, employees should absolutely never feel fiercely forced to choose between building a career in digital security and joyfully starting or expanding a family. The modern technology industry frequently imposes a severe motherhood penalty, stunting the career progression and earning potential of primary caregivers. This family guarantee is a core pillar of our global community initiative, ensuring that our corporate success directly enriches the familial and community foundations of our workforce while dismantling these structural inequities. The overarching philosophy of iTech Wales perfectly asserts that starting a family is a fundamental human right, not a corporate inconvenience to be managed. Consequently, iTech Wales has entirely eradicated the bureaucratic complexity of tiered statutory weeks, diminishing percentage returns, and brutal financial cliff edges associated with traditional maternity policies. Instead, iTech Wales proudly introduces a radically simplified, high-impact financial guarantee designed to actively encourage parenthood and provide absolute financial security during life's most profoundly vulnerable transitions. To seamlessly achieve this, iTech Wales will always honor and comprehensively integrate the statutory family entitlements of any participating partner country, treating the highly robust framework of United Kingdom legislation as its minimum operational baseline. However, perfectly mirroring the ethos of iTech Wales, we confidently take a highly disruptive, uncompromising stance in the developing world. Where maternity, paternity, or adoption provisions are dreadfully weak or entirely non-existent, iTech Wales refuses to accept the deeply flawed local status quo. The company intelligently leverages its significant economic weight and the promise of FiduNode (TM) infrastructure to actively encourage and powerfully pressure sovereign governments to quickly establish robust, highly protective family legislation. iTech Wales correctly positions itself not merely as a technology provider, but as a fearless global catalyst for human rights, community enrichment, and paramount family welfare. The internal mechanics of the iTech Wales family support model are exceptionally generous and mathematically superior to standard statutory pay frameworks. Up to 52 weeks of fully paid maternity and family leave, completely inclusive of statutory living wages and all positional bonuses, is flawlessly guaranteed by iTech Wales for primary caregivers, with an incredible 4 weeks fully paid for secondary caregivers. This completely and instantly eradicates the dreaded financial cliff edge where employees suddenly drop to a meager statutory flat rate. In the intense, high-security context of the FiduNode (TM) ecosystem, plunging a new parent into sudden financial hardship is a profound security risk. Perfectly maintaining their full salary thoroughly ensures they remain financially secure, utterly uncompromised, and deeply, fiercely loyal to the company. Furthermore, to explicitly act upon the company's fierce desire to actively encourage employees to have children and build robust communities in the face of global demographic winters, the iTech Family Foundation grant, a substantial cash bonus paid upon the birth or adoption of every single child, has been proudly introduced by iTech Wales. The technology industry often implicitly discourages parenthood through intense pressure and severe financial penalties. By providing an immediate wealth injection specifically designed to absorb the severe upfront costs of a newborn, such as massive nursery deposits or highly essential equipment, iTech Wales successfully sends a powerful, unambiguous message. The company is actively, passionately investing in the families of its digital fiduciaries, proving that expanding a family is a deeply celebrated milestone rather than a dreaded career hindrance. Finally, iTech Wales effortlessly ensures that taking this generous, necessary leave does not secretly or subtly penalize the employee's long-term career trajectory. During any crucial period of maternity, paternity, or adoption leave, all of iTech Wales's compounding benefits confidently continue to run entirely uninterrupted. The employees' powerful 10% April wage uplift and their highly treasured compounding bonus holiday day automatically accrue exactly as if they were actively, continuously working on the secure network. Consequently, when a rested parent returns to the FiduNode TM ecosystem after starting a family, they return to a significantly higher hourly rate and a much greater holiday entitlement than when they originally left. This elegantly and mathematically destroys the traditional career penalties and severe gender pay gaps intrinsically associated with parenthood, proving undeniably that true corporate responsibility means securing the next generation just as fiercely as the global digital landscape. Part 7. Comprehensive care and the human welfare net as a core security protocol. While wages, holidays, pensions, and the family guarantee accurately form the highly robust macroeconomic structure, the day-to-day reality of fragile human existence requires a comprehensive, highly empathetic welfare net to safely handle the unpredictable, often tragic crises of life. This is the direct operationalization of the promises made in the vision for iTech Wales's universal healthcare, dental, mental wellness, social care, and global community initiative. The highly generic employment contracts commonly utilized in the technology sector foolishly treat human frailty as an inconvenience to be swiftly managed out. The highly enlightened model of iTech Wales embraces the human condition entirely, profoundly recognizing that compassionate support seamlessly builds unbreakable institutional loyalty and further eases the pressure on health services globally. iTech Wales is deeply committed to facilitating comprehensive universal healthcare access for its employees, seamlessly incorporating premium dental provisions, proactive mental wellness programs, and robust social care support into its holistic welfare framework. The cybersecurity industry is plagued by severe burnout, post-traumatic stress disorder from reviewing toxic material, and profound professional isolation. Recognizing that mental acuity is the absolute bedrock of digital security, providing proactive mental wellness and social care ensures our digital fiduciaries are never left isolated or unsupported. By fully funding these critical health infrastructures, iTech Wales actively protects workers previously abandoned by the precarious gig economy to deteriorating physical and mental health. Operating alongside and frequently wildly exceeding local statutory requirements, iTech Wales guarantees a suite of direct welfare benefits. Recognizing the paramount importance of physical maintenance, iTech Wales provides highly reasonable, fully paid time off to carefully attend hospital, doctor, or dentist appointments. Hourly workers are routinely, callously penalized financially for seeking highly basic health care. iTech Wales ensures its dedicated workforce never has to cruelly choose between their physical health, their mental wellness, and their crucial paycheck. Recognizing the truly devastating impact of profound personal loss, iTech Wales gently grants up to 5 days of fully paid compassionate leave immediately following the tragic death of a close family member, with significantly broad discretionary room for management to compassionately extend this support during uniquely severe crises, ensuring that mental health is fiercely protected. If a dedicated employee is called for highly important jury service, iTech Wales flawlessly makes up the difference in lost earnings between the court's basic allowance and the employee's normal basic pay, ensuring vital civic responsibility carries no financial penalty, averting profound economic self-destruction for those performing public duties. Furthermore, iTech Wales is radically overhauling the standard approach to painful absenteeism through a highly comprehensive sick pay guarantee. In the traditional gig economy and many modern corporate structures, falling ill means plummeting instantly onto meager statutory sick pay, or significantly worse, earning nothing at all for the first few highly painful days of illness. This terrifying financial cliff forces highly infectious, deeply exhausted, and severely cognitively compromised individuals to desperately engage in presenteeism, dangerously coming to work while sick. In the secure FiduNode TM ecosystem, a cognitively impaired operator is a direct, catastrophic security threat. Therefore, as an absolute, unshakable standard, any single iTech Wales employee absent due to genuine physical or mental illness is confidently guaranteed full pay strictly at their sovereign statutory living wage rate for the complete entirety of their painful absenteeism, completely regardless of their position. While the positional bonus rate is standardly omitted during these periods of sickness to gently incentivize a return to work when reasonably healthy, iTech Wales profoundly recognizes that human tragedy defies rigid formulas. Thus, under truly exceptional circumstances, such as critical illness, deeply long-term recovery, or severe trauma, an appointed iTech Wales health director holds the tremendous discretionary authority to effortlessly override this standard. Upon careful review, the health director can swiftly authorize the payment of the employee's absolute full rate, completely inclusive of their highly valuable positional bonus, for partial or the complete entirety of the absence. This highly empathetic, human-in-the-loop oversight perfectly ensures that in incredibly dark moments of profound medical vulnerability, the comprehensive care and welfare net holds undeniably firm. The FiduNode TM architecture rigorously demands that employees flawlessly act as absolute arbiters of truth, ethics, and unparalleled trust in the digital realm. They hold massive artificial intelligence developers and massive cloud providers completely accountable to the law. iTech whales simply cannot reasonably demand this incredible level of profound institutional trust and ethical fortitude from its employees if it does not eagerly extend that exact same trust, boundless empathy, and fierce compassion to them in their deeply personal lives. By successfully ensuring that a worker who is grieving, seeking dental or healthcare treatment, or fighting for their mental wellness is financially protected, iTech Wales naturally fosters a culture of deep, reciprocal loyalty. The company effortlessly proves it has the employees' back entirely in their darkest moments. In deeply loyal return, the highly valued employee proudly stands as an unwavering sentinel guarding the company's vast digital infrastructure. Moreover, this robust welfare net actively recognizes and massively eases the pressure on health services. By paying employees fully during severe sickness and carefully covering vital medical appointments alongside universal mental and dental health care, iTech Wales prevents its workforce from ever slipping into terrifying poverty or heavily relying on state-funded emergency welfare during vulnerable periods of ill health. Compassion is not merely a highly effective security protocol, it is a profoundly essential exercise in true corporate social responsibility that directly, perfectly supports the sovereign state and uplifts the global community. Part V8: Conclusion and the Startup Vision for Global Digital Stabilization. This article, representing the fuller ultimate articulation of the human dignity standard for iTech Wales, proves that ethical stewardship and comprehensive care are not merely philanthropic ideals. They are the necessary foundational architecture for global cybersecurity. It is highly unusual for an agile startup to transparently stipulate such comprehensive, financially aggressive, and fiercely protective employment terms before it has scaled into a global behemoth. The standard industry playbook is well known. Run incredibly lean, exploit contractor loopholes, aggressively suppress wages, violently oppose trade unions, abandon holistic employee health, and vaguely promise better conditions only when the company reaches massive profitability. iTech Wales violently and fundamentally rejects this playbook. Embodying our vision, we are explicitly defining this global fair pay policy. iTech Wales is currently positioning the remarkably powerful FiduNode TM architecture to highly influential global governments as the ultimate indispensable solution to the devastating integrity deficit caused by generative engine optimization. We are eagerly asking highly esteemed sovereign nations to fully trust our cryptographic frameworks, our zero-knowledge proofs, and our automated verification networks to gracefully govern the future of the Internet. We cannot credibly pitch a flawless system of absolute trust, profound transparency, and strict human accountability to global lawmakers if our own deeply internal corporate structure is dreadfully opaque, exploitative, or terribly reliant on the precarious labor models we eagerly claim to be expertly fixing. This highly visionary employment model is the ultimate undeniable proof of concept. It flawlessly demonstrates that iTech Wales practices the highly ethical legitimacy-based view internally well before exporting it globally. It completely proves that iTech Wales profoundly understands an inescapable truth. You cannot possibly build a mathematically flawless, secure digital future on a crumbling foundation of dreadful human exploitation. The massive transition to generative artificial intelligence has severely fractured the Internet, terrifyingly turning the incredible digital commons into a highly volatile zero-trust wilderness where dreadful hallucinations, highly convincing synthetic media, and relentless malicious bots carelessly run rampant. The outdated old laws, the completely useless old metrics of fragile trust, and the highly exploitative old business models are completely, undeniably dead. iTech Wales has proudly provided the technological blueprint to successfully save the digital economy through the deeply powerful FiduNode (TM) architecture. It is a system that perfectly filters the noise, deeply enforces absolute hardware-level compliance, and forcefully demands that absolutely every piece of synthetic content is flawlessly anchored to a completely verified human. By bravely stipulating this incredibly transparent vision today, iTech Wales is not just building a highly profitable company. We are passionately inviting deeply respected sovereign governments and massive trade unions alike to perfectly partner with us in architecting an entirely new social contract for the incredible digital age. The idea of these comprehensive benefits is to formally recognize the intense financial, demographic, and health-related pressures on states globally and to decisively ease this pressure. Where employment legislation, social care, or pension provisions do not exist in developing countries, iTech Wales vigorously recommends establishing them, ensuring the FiduNode (TM) framework serves as an unstoppable catalyst for worldwide legislative reform and global community initiatives. We are proving that the absolute only way to perfectly secure the highly complex machines of tomorrow is to unconditionally, fiercely protect the deeply incredible humans of today. The blueprint is meticulously set, the underlying mathematics are undeniably sound, and the magnificent vision of iTech Wales is absolutely, profoundly clear. The deeply critical time to completely implement the FiduNode TM architecture and to flawlessly empower the highly elite, globally uplifted, remarkably secure workforce absolutely required to guard it is unequivocally now. Thanks for watching.